Hey guys, this is Brittany from By Brittany Goldwyn. I post videos about plants and projects, and today we're talking about grow lights with starting seeds. A lot of people wonder if using those shop lights that you see at your local hardware store are enough for starting seeds, or if you actually need to get a true grow light, a full spectrum grow light. So I mentioned in one of my past seed starting videos that I was testing out shop lights this year, and this video is showing you guys the results of the success that I've had using shop lights for my seed starting setup this year. So here's a look at my seed starting setup down in the basement. I've got one full spectrum grow light back here, that's the purple one, and then two of my shop lights up here for seed starting. Now I want to touch on the difference between these two types of lights really quickly. Shop lights are generally going to be fluorescent or LED fixtures meant for workshops or garages. We have them down here in our dark basement workshop. They provide great light. They are inexpensive, super easy to find, and can be really tempting to use for seeds because of those reasons. They typically put out a cool or neutral light, which you can definitely see here compared to the purple light in the back. And they're great for visibility, but not always great for plants. Now, full spectrum grow lights, like the one here in the back, is designed to mimic natural sunlight. They include both blue and red wavelengths that plants need for their photosynthesis, and they support all of the different growing stages of plants. So they don't just include support for sprouting, but they include support for flowering, fruiting, healthy leaf growth, root development, all of that stuff. So they are really your one-stop shop for growing plants without the sun. So we'll cut to the chase, kind of a spoiler alert showing you the whole setup and how well everything is doing, but shop lights definitely work well for seed starting. Now keep in mind that that bright, intense light is good for sprouting and getting that first set of leaves from seeds. Those are called the cotyledons. They are not what people often refer to as true leaves. So once those first set of leaves, I'll show you guys here. Here's an example on one of my eggplants. So these are the first two sets of leaves. These are the cotyledons, and then these two were the first sets of true leaves on the plant. So generally, once a plant gets its first set or two of true leaves, it's time to move beyond using a shop light for your plants. That's because it's not necessarily providing all of the different wavelengths of lights that your plants need to really get going when they're growing. Now, I have my seedlings down here. Most of them are working on their second set of true leaves, and it is almost time to move these outside to my greenhouse or even plant some of them in the garden since it's early April here in zone 7A. So I really do not have a need for a full spectrum grow light for my seedlings. What you need to remember when thinking about what type of lights you need for your plants is that the blue light wavelength is good for that leafy green development and seed sprouting, while the red light wavelength is good for flowering and fruiting. So you're giving your plants a great start inside using just shop lights, but they are going to need more after they start getting past their super baby stage. And if you do decide you want to grow long-term indoors, you will definitely need something with a full spectrum of light. It does not necessarily have to be one of these purple lights. They make full spectrum grow lights that look a lot more like this front shop light here. It just really depends the kind of vibe you're going for. I actually really like the purple light. Obviously, it's a color I dye my hair. I think it's really, really pretty, so it doesn't bother me at all, but it may bother you if you don't have your seed starting set up or your indoor growing set up far away from where you're living your life in your house and you don't want to be dealing with purple light all the time. Another thing to keep in mind is that the shop lights do get a little bit warmer than the full spectrum grow lights, at least the ones that I have here. They do get a little bit warmer. So you're going to be dealing with a little bit more heat output underneath. Now, I have these on a chain with just some simple S-hooks so I can pull them up as the plants grow, so I make sure that foliage is not touching the shop light. Whereas with the LED light, I don't have to be as careful with it because it's not as warm to the touch. It's slightly warm, but it's not nearly as hot as the shop lights get. And I've started all of these plants at slightly different times, and I've honestly kind of moved them around, so I haven't kept them completely under only a shop light or only the full spectrum grow light. But I really cannot tell a difference between between things that I have started under the shop light and things that I've started under the full spectrum grow light, which to me is a really great sign that the cheaper shop lights are doing their job and it's really all I need. Now, I will show you guys the exact shop light that I ended up getting for this setup. We got ours from Lowe's only because we have a Lowe's right by our house. You can get your shop lights really anywhere. You can get them online. You can get them at any hardware store. This is the box of the ones that we got. See if you guys can see here. It's probably backwards, but it gives you an idea. Now, I would recommend getting something that's at least 3,000 lumens. I have found 3,000 lumens to be enough, and when I did some initial research online, I found people saying mixed things about whether or not 3,000 lumens was enough. Now, keep in mind that the lumens, that's the brightness of the light. So if you get something that is like 5,000 lumens, you may not need to put it as close to your plants as you would a 3,000 lumen light, where I keep that 3,000 lumen light right above where the plant growth is, and I'm careful not to let it touch the actual leaves because of the heat that these lights specifically put off. Now, each of these were $15, so really good bang for your buck, and I'm also planning to use them in our dark little laundry area when I'm not using them for starting seeds, so that I can use them year round for something practical. And they also have a plug on the end of them, so you can link them together, which is really cool. I don't know if it shows it on this box, but they have a plug so you can link them together, and you could do a whole row of them, and then they just have a little pull chain to turn them on and off. So I hope you guys found this video helpful and informative, and that it inspires you to try out some shop lights growing your seeds either this year if it's not too late, maybe some fall seeds, or next year. I highly recommend using anything that you can save a little bit of money on and maybe even use for another purpose around your house when you're not starting seeds. And now it's time to pot some of these up. So I'm gonna head out to the greenhouse. Until next time, happy planting.